A Plaguelands Media production.
Hey everyone, this is Hugh from Plaguelands Media bringing you another book review today, so cheers. Today I'm bringing you a book that was written in 1995. I didn't realize that this book had been turned into a film until about a year ago, although I saw the film when it was released in 1996. And that book is Peter Abraham's The Fan. Now, I apologize for not having the full book cover up, but for some reason my Kindle is kind of doing this with the book cover and not putting the book cover up. I don't know what that's all about, but there you have it. Now, Peter Abrahams wrote this novel, as I said, in 1995. And it was turned into a film in 1996. That's where I kind of first got wind of this. I went to the cinema, the Penrith Hayden Cinema. I was in the 12th grade. And The Fan was basically a stalker film starring Robert De Niro as Gil Renard and Wesley Snipes as Bobby Rayburn, the baseball player. Enjoyed the film. I thought it was perfectly fine, if not a little predictable, but, you know, what can you do? Last year I watched the movie again, and I did notice, based on a novel by Peter Abrahams. So I'm like, all right, let's see if I can get my hands on a copy of this. Really interested. He has an extensive body of work. The Fan is the only book of his I've read, and I have to admit I was very, very impressed with it. Even though I knew the story, although the film and the book differ greatly, as you know they are wont to do when you are adapting a novel into a screenplay. But there you go. So if you don't want any spoilers for this book review, go to another video. They're all fucking awesome. Or go and watch the movie. It's actually really, really decent. But this is going to be a spoiler-filled review of The Fan by Peter Abrahams. So, you know what? Let's just get right into the next episode of...
Read a fucking book. 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 People.
So there are effectively two main characters in this story. There is Bobby Rayburn, who is a baseball player. He's kind of like this young prodigy. Well, young, I say he's in his early 30s. Who's just been signed to the Boston Red Sox for an insane amount of money, like millions of dollars, contracts and whatnot. So he is, well, we're supposed to think of him as the hero, and then we have Gil Renard, who is a knife salesman, and we're supposed to think of him as the villain. Gil grew up with his father. They lived in a trailer. His father was a bladesmith who kind of made knives and sold knives, and then ended up basically selling his knife company to a corporation. And Gil now works for that corporation. His father has long since passed away, which I'll get into in a little more detail later. So we start the novel itself with kind of talkback radio. This radio station that's always talking about sports and baseball and whatnot. And Gil keeps phoning up and goes on and on about how good the Red Sox are going to do with Bobby Rayburn now that he has signed up with the team and he's this star player. And Gil is this huge fan of his. We find out that Gil has an ex-wife and a son, and the ex-wife is dating this guy, but Gil and the ex-wife don't get on, and a lot of it is to do with Gil's treatment of his son. He thinks his son's a wimp, and he's trying to kind of push his son to get into baseball and whatnot, because Gil's this avid baseball fan. All through the book, you get these kind of flashbacks of Gil's big moment where he took his team all the way up to the state championships and they won. Gil is kind of like this baseball nut. On the other side of things, we have Bobby, who he's married with a kid, but as ball players are wont to do when they're on the road, he sleeps with different women. He's not a good guy in this book. And we see that more and more as the season progresses and Bobby starts to fall into this slump where he's not hitting, he's being left out of games because his average is way down low. And he believes it's all because he doesn't have his number 11. His number 11 is worn by one of his teammates, this guy by the name of Primo. So we're getting two kind of stories here. One, Bobby and his baseball slump. And then the second story is Gil and the shit that Gil is going through. He basically loses his job. He can't make his quota. He leaves his son at the opening Red Sox game to go and have a business meeting, which doesn't go anywhere. And when he gets back, his son's missing from the stadium. And there's a whole lot of stuff that happens that Gil just spirals down into this psychotic pit. Gil ends up going back to his hometown and going to the grave of his father and digging up his father's grave just to retrieve an MVP trophy that Gil had won that was buried with his father. Now, what actually happened is his father was in hospital, very, very sick. Gil had the state championship game. His father leaves the hospital to go and watch it, manages to get to the car park and dies in the car listening to the game on the radio. And when Gil is awarded this trophy and leaves the stadium, everyone finds his father's body in the car. So he buries this trophy with his father. And then after everything kind of goes out of control in his life, he digs up his father's body and gets his trophy. At the same time, there is a hunter near the cemetery who sees Gil. Gil sees him. It's not hunting season, so this guy is technically poaching deer. Gil realizes that it is his old childhood friend by the name of Ko. He has this French name, but I'm not even going to try and pronounce that. So he and Ko kind of get together. They go back to Ko's trailer where they kind of renew their friendship and whatnot, and end up going to rob this guy that Gil knows. Gil has basically been selling this guy his father's knives. His father's knives were basically his heirlooms and the only connection to his father, but he needs the money, so he's been selling them to this guy. They go to rob this guy. This guy's wife is fucking the maid in the study. They bust in on them. The wife was a fencing champion in college, and she stabs Ko, who ultimately, Gil gets Ko back to the car with a knapsack full of knives, but Ko bleeds out and ends up dying. Gil goes and buries Ko in his father's grave, and he meets Ko's girlfriend, a prostitute who's just come out of jail. She sleeps with Gil, but then she kind of is suspicious of him. They fight, and Gil ends up killing her as well. While all this is going on, there is a sports reporter by the name of Jewel who is writing a story about Bobby Rayburn. And Jewel becomes more and more entangled in this kind of story because there are hints that Bobby and Primo have been fighting. Bobby confronted Primo at a bar. He wants to buy his number back. Primo's not having any of it. In the men's room, Bobby punches him in the face. Gil was actually in that men's room it was on the way to the heist. So Jewel gets this Gil angle and starts to kind of run with that. She befriends Bobby, and they end up having sex. Primo is murdered in a steam room by Gil. Gil thinks that if Primo is dead, Bobby can get his number 11 back. So he confronts Primo in the steam room of a hotel and stabs him in the leg, severing an artery, and Primo bleeds out. So now we have the police looking into the murders of Ko and his woman and Primo, and Jewel is kind of connecting everything. Jewel runs into this cop called Claymore, who was on the same baseball team as Bobby and Ko, and Jewel discovers that it was a little league game. So like Gil is reminiscing about this baseball game that happened when he was like fucking 12, and he's living this dream like he's a professional baseball player, like he could have made it all the way to the majors. He was the pitcher, Ko was the catcher, and the cop Claymore is like they were the stars of the fucking team. They were the stars of the town. And Gil never got over that. He never got over the fact that he never did any better, especially after his father died. So he obviously would have, gone into the foster system and whatnot. Gil goes to Bobby's house. It's this beautiful mansion on the ocean, and sees Bobby's wife having sex with his manager. Manages to weasel his way into the family dynamic because he saves Bobby's son from drowning. Bobby's son falls into the swimming pool and almost drowns, and Gil was right there because he was watching the wife, and he saves his kid, and he becomes their gardener and goes to kind of baseball games, looks after Bobby's son Sean, and then ultimately realizes that Bobby just doesn't care about baseball anymore, and that's how he got out of his slump. Jewel told him, listen, there's other things out there. You don't have to worry about baseball all the time. And Bobby's like, you're fucking right. And then he starts hitting and he starts winning, and the Sox are doing really, really well. And Gil is pissed off because he believes he's the one that saved the team by killing Primo and getting Bobby his number back. So he kidnaps Bobby's son and is going to go and kill him. But Jewel and Claymore, the cop from Gil's hometown, get there in the nick of time, save Sean, but Claymore is killed by Bobby. Bobby then hatches this plan to Gil hatches his plan to kill Bobby, when Bobby is at bat during one of the Red Sox games, but he's taken out by snipers and the cops, and he ultimately dies without ever knowing that season the Red Sox actually win the pennant. And that's pretty much the story. There's a lot of character development between Gil and his ex-wife, and at one point he tries to kidnap his son from a baseball game, and then the cops are after him, and everything kind of goes to shit. He turns into a psychopath really fucking quickly in this book, which I did enjoy. I have to say, I enjoyed it so much that I went out and grabbed 3 more Peter Abrahams novels from the Kindle store because I just really want to see what this guy can do. So that was The Fan by Peter Abrahams. The attention to detail when it came to the baseball stuff was awesome. Baseball is a game that I really enjoy. I don't get all the nuances of the game statistics-wise, but I just enjoy watching baseball. It's just a really great game. I cannot hit a baseball to save my fucking life. I've been to batting cages over here in South Korea, and I have swung and missed every single fucking time. That's how bad I am. Watching the game, absolutely love it. So if you want the baseball stuff in here, it's phenomenal. It really ties the book together. Really shows that Peter Abrahams knows his fucking shit when it comes to baseball. The characters of Gil and Bobby, I thought, were really good in that. I mean, after watching the movie, I know who the bad guy is, and I know what Bobby Rayburn is all about. But if you're reading the book for the first time, you're going to get this really nuanced connection between the two of them when it comes to their motivations, when it comes to things like that. So, really worth checking out. That's The Fan by Peter Abrahams. Fantastic psychological thriller, so to speak. So, you know what? Here's to baseball. Go Diamondbacks. That's my fucking team. If you enjoyed the video, like, subscribe, leave a comment, hit the notification bell so you don't miss anything. More videos are coming out. More book reviews, graphic novel reviews. Winter's coming up, so I'm going to try and get some board game playthroughs in there, but kind of don't have the time at the moment, so please be patient for that. More Plaguelands Media stuff coming up all the time. So if you enjoyed this stuff, you know, please hit the like. Please tell your friends. We're at 400 subscribers, so thank you to everyone that has subscribed to the channel. You guys are fucking awesome. So, you know what? I'm just going to leave it here. Please, everyone, stay safe. Have a fantastic rest of your day. But most importantly, hit a fucking ball, people.